anyone recognize what we just did? Raise your hand if you recognize what we just did.
You may have needed to watch Monica to recognize what we just did, but
Well, Monica got a little distracted by the music. No? Yes? Anyone? Who? Tell us. What was that? The Jackson Scholar Flash Mob. Woo! So UCEA's fundraiser this year for the Jackson Scholars is a Jackson Scholar Flash Mob. So you will need to learn those intricate steps and be prepared to dance at a moment's notice. If you have not signed up for, if you're not registered for it, please do so, because if you register, you get some very cool accessories that are going to be integral to the dance party. So please go ahead and do that. And Anne actually told me to tell you that if she can do it, anyone can do it. So on behalf of myself and Anne O'Doherty, I want to welcome you to our 2016 Luncheon, Awards Luncheon. As usual, actually it's an honor for Anne and I to be asked every year, even though we do things that other people might find questionable. We're asked to come and help MC this occasion. And I think Anne and I see this as a very joyful moment in the work of UCEA, so we try to bring some of that. We also think that, we're living in a couple of weeks now that have seen some major changes, both in the country and our culture, and that there's lots of feelings of angst and anger and bitterness emerging in some of our work, in the communities that we work in. And we wanted to sort of kind of try to put that aside for a little bit and invite you to join, at least for the next hour or so, to help us create a community of joy. And be joyful for the work of the people who are being awarded today. Be joyful in each other's company as we break bread, which we know is an important part of any community building process. So join us for the next hour and a half, or whatever hour, in creating a community of joy. And part of that is also being thankful. So I just want to take a special moment to be thankful to all the hotel staff, the AV and the tech people, the cooks, the chefs who have provided this meal for us. And have really showed us what a big heart Detroit has. So thank you all.
So we are inviting you to be a bit silly with us today, which is why we started off with our dance. But we're also inviting you to help us stay within the program in a spirit of equity. And so we know that as presenters, you have many, many things that you want to say about these awesome people that you have nominated for these awards. And would you please stay within your time? And we'll also ask that our people who are receiving the awards stay within their time so that we are efficiently silly. Also wanted to just bring to mind that when we come to these award ceremonies, there's the people who are being presented the awards, and we know that they are being honored for the incredible work that they have accomplished. And we also know that there is work to be done to nominate someone and have them come in to receive this award. So if you have been involved in nominating someone for an award this year or any year, would you please stand up and be recognized if you have been a nominator for someone for one of our awards? So thank you so much for doing that. So we have two awards that you may notice on the have noticed on the program that we will not be honoring today because the recipients of those awards were not able to join us. And so Ellen Goldring will be receiving her Rolled Camel Award at a later time. And we also will have the Paula Silver Case Award, which was for Dorothy Hines Dorothy Hines Detiri will also be awarded at another time. So we just wanted to make you aware of that as well. All right. So as we begin our awards today, we have an award that is nominated by universities themselves. So each university that's a member of UCEA has an opportunity to nominate someone who is a practitioner for the Excellence in Educational Leadership Awards. And those awards are typically given in the university themselves. They pick up a time when they want to give the award. But I would like to invite anyone who is here today, one of our practitioners, who has been recognized for the UCEA Excellence in Educational Leadership Award, at this time or at any time to please stand and be recognized. Thank you so much. This award is for those practitioners who really make a difference in terms of helping to recruit, select, and develop the leaders from their roles, and we really appreciate the work that they do. At this time, I'd like to invite Michelle Young to come to the stage, and Michelle is going to help us with the next few awards.
And you don't have to dance, Michelle.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know.
A little music? Yeah,
Whoa,
there we
right.
go. And the scoop, scoop.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor to recognize, somebody fast forward that slide once, please. There you go. To recognize Terrence Green, who is the recipient of the Educational Administration Quarterly Best Article Award. Terrence was presented with his award last April during the Division A of AERA business meeting. And we certainly appreciate our colleagues at Division A for allowing us to share the award at the Division A business meeting each year, because it's an opportunity for us to honor our award winners twice a year. Terrence was recognized for his article, Leading for Urban School Reform and Community Development. And this is a really excellent article, and it was published in the last volume year. And I would highly recommend you to talk to Terrence. And where is Terrence today? Is he sitting with Dr. Dantley? No, he's not back there. But if you see him here at the convention, please do congratulate him on this award. Each year, the Executive Board of the Educational Administration Quarterly identifies a group of individuals to review all of the articles in the single volume year of EAQ and choose, which is sometimes a very difficult thing to do, the best article. And it's my understanding too that we may be putting together a volume which includes each one of the Davis Award winners over the history of the journal's publication, which would be a terrific thing. So my next presentation is for the Hannah Mahoney Distinguished Service Award. Organizations like UCEA benefit greatly from the contributions of colleagues like those of you gathered here today. And the Distinguished Service Award provides us an opportunity to pause and reflect on their impressive service contributions and thank them. Today, I am pleased to share the Hannah Mahoney Distinguished Service Award with Pamela Tucker. For those of you who know Pam, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, it's about time. Because Pam has been a constant and significant contribution to UCEA over the years. She served as PSR, she was on a convention planning team, she has served as a Jackson Scholar mentor, as a chair of multiple committees, including the membership committee, as a representative of UCEA for evaluation work, for standards work, for policy entities and professional associations. And over the past few years in her role as the headquarters Senior Associate Director, Pam has been an essential part of UCEA's success. She's gone above and beyond the expectations of her role to support UCEA initiatives, our staff, our students, and to make the organization run smoothly. It's hard to find a more conscientious, a more caring, and a more committed colleague. please join me in thanking and honoring Pam Tucker, who is a truly distinguished scholar and poet.
I'm breathing deeply so that I hold it together for the next 2 minutes that I'm allowed to say something. I am so deeply touched to look around the room at so many familiar faces of people I respect and cherish for their good work on behalf of children in this country. You are an amazing family, and I am so very proud to be standing up here. It's an honor and privilege to accept this UCA Hannah McWhinney Distinguished Service Award. I was very fond of Hannah, so I'm very touched to be not a good. No. Okay, I will boom, okay? Hannah was a special person, and I appreciate receiving an award, this award that's named for her. I'm also very privileged to receive this award on behalf of UCA. I've had an intimate vantage point on the work of UCA over the last 5 years, very close to the action. As Senior Associate Director, and I have seen a constant whirlwind of activity in many leadership areas, often with Michelle Young and all of you at the very center of that work. Now more than ever, I believe in the importance of UCA's work on preparation, research, and practice. Those are our 3 areas. Our presence is felt at the national level, and UCA representatives are always at the center doing a lot of the heavy lifting. You need to look no further than the Professional Standards for Educational Leadership, or the soon-to-be-released National Educational Leadership Preparation Standards, to see our influence on policy and practice. The handbook that just came out of research on education of school leaders represents some of our finest work on the research in the field. We are incredibly active. We have an incredible presence. I have tried very hard to keep up with Michelle Young in the last 5 years. She creates the whirlwind that is UCA. I know my limitations, and so I'm now passing the baton to Sarah Dexter, someone younger, more energetic, to continue the sprint with Michelle. UCA is truly fortunate to have someone with Michelle's vision, intelligence, and passion at its helm. I invite all of you, I beg all of you, to continue your commitment to UCA's efforts to improve leadership quality across the country. Quality leadership matters, and UCA is making a tremendous difference. I've seen it with my own eyes, and keep up the good work, and thank you very much for this recognition.
And in Pam's usual wonderful way, it's like, that wasn't too much. No, Pam, it was perfect, Pam, like everything. I didn't get to hug you, so I'll hug you later. Our next award is the Edward M. Bridges Award. The Edward M. Bridges Award honors the legacy of Edwin Bridges' contribution to the field and is given by UCEA annually for original, outstanding work in the area of research and/or development that contributes to our knowledge and understanding of how best to prepare and support future generations of educational leaders. I'd like to invite Andrea Rohr, who nominated our award winner this year.
Good afternoon. I asked Diana to join me up here, but she's going to wait there. But I'm so used to standing by her side or having her by my side, this seems a little awkward to be up here alone at the moment. In a time where as a nation we seek and demand leadership that reflects strong moral character, authenticity and substance, recognition for the contributions from our diverse population in this country, and inclusiveness instead of division, it seems fitting that at this luncheon we have an opportunity to honor our colleagues and peers and their contributions to the collective path we are on to improve leadership preparation and practice. Today we recognize our colleague for the Edwin Bridges Award, Diana Pounder. Diana exemplifies the essence of leadership through her vision for our field, her commitment to others engaged in our field, and importantly, the future of our field. Her attention has been dedicated to program development, evaluation, and research promoting high-quality pre-service preparation and then practice of educational leaders for over 3 decades. Her interest in preparation, program development, implementation, and improvement began early in her career while serving as an assistant professor at Louisiana State University, and subsequently continued during her years at the University of Utah and then the University of Arkansas, where she served as dean, and even now, post-retirement, with her work with the Inspired Leadership Team and UCEA's policy agenda. Through Diana's extraordinary scholarship and publications, her leadership positions, her role as a mentor, and her ever-present role as a critical friend, she has influenced generations of scholars and practitioners, including myself. She's influenced us to give attention to the importance of quality leadership preparation and practice and our role in getting there. One of her letter writers, Pam Tucker, said, "Diana indeed has impressive credentials for this award, but I want to recognize Diana for her unending willingness to support and mentor others. She was a trailblazer in the field when women were a minority. I remember watching her as I began my career in the academy, and I thought to myself, I want to be just like Diana." She modeled how to be a strong woman and scholar, how to be hard on facts but soft on people, and how to get the job done. Catherine Lugg noted, "From serving on a host of local, state, national, and international committees focused on improving leadership development to a robust research agenda that is published in the top journals of our field, to serving in various leadership capacities from department chair to dean, Professor Pounder's work has been focused on improving the quality of the people who lead in our public schools. It is indeed a noble calling and is one that she has consistently excelled at for over 30 years. And Gary Crow noted, "Notwithstanding the significance of the research, consulting, and policy contributions Diana has made over her lifetime, permit me a personal comment. In the 12 years we worked together at the University of Utah, where they should both still be, I was constantly reminded of her commitment to why we were in this work. Her spirit, her actions, her soul reflected a passion for making sure that we offered the best graduate preparation program. And she reminded us that offering our best to aspiring and current leaders was important because they were important to the students in the classrooms and schools and districts. Diana lives what she researches. She cares about leaders' knowledge, skills, and values, and she has an unwavering belief that we in the University Preparations Program can and should do better." And so I leave you with this thought. With every publication, conference, conversation, decision about leadership preparation and practice, the need for it, how to support it, what to modify, and how to enhance it, we are building upon the efforts of those who are both visible, like our award recipients today, and the many who have been invisible to date, those who have been recognized and those who have been historically overlooked. The scholarship, daily endeavors, and impact of these individuals is actually what makes us stronger collectively. Diana's profound record, commitment, passion, and care for our field and us as individuals have made us stronger. Importantly, I am reminiscent of Walter Lippmann's reflection on leadership. Lippmann once said, "The final test of a leader is that they leave behind them, in other people, the conviction and the will to carry on." Today, we recognize such a leader, Diana Pounder, the 2016 Bridges Award recipient, for her fortitude, her leadership, her impact on our field, and her inspiration to so many others to diligently continue this work. Please join me in recognizing Diana Pounder.
Thank you.
Breaking protocol.
Fancy, fancy. Thank you. Thank you so much. This award means a lot to me. I had great respect for Ed Bridges. Don't claim to be a close personal friend of his, but did have a number of professional interactions with him. And I think whether this is accurate or not, in my perception, one thing that Ed and I shared in common, we were both relatively plain-spoken compared to some colleagues. So, so I like to think I had a little bit of Ed Bridges in me. I do want to say that when I was finishing graduate school, I had initially thought that I would go back into administrative practice, and ultimately changed my mind and decided that I would try to become a professor. And I had a number of reasons that I decided to go that route, but probably at the top of the list, I reasoned that this is not a job you can ever master. You're never going to master it. And you've got to continue to learn always. And therefore, you can never get bored with it. And you can never get sick of it and prematurely ready to leave. And as you can see, I'm still like hanging on. And so that's one of the reasons that I decided to become a professor. And certainly I feel that that has been borne out. I haven't gotten bored with it. I haven't mastered it. And I am still challenged to engage in the work. And so over the past 30 plus years that I have been in academia, I feel that I have two academic homes. One of them is the University of Utah. And after working there 20 years, it was hard for me to leave, and I left for personal life reasons, not professional life reasons. And it is still a place I value. I had a number of amazing colleagues, many amazing colleagues over the years. It wasn't the same set of colleagues over that 20-year time frame, but I learned from all of them. My own professional development was enhanced because of affiliation with those colleagues. My own career development was enhanced from affiliation with those colleagues. So that is one of my professional homes. The other professional home is this group, UCEA. I honestly think, given some of the challenges I faced in my first 3 years as an assistant professor, had it not been for colleagues in this organization, I would not have stayed in the professorate. And this organization has been an academic home for me in every sense of the word. And at this point in my life, it's also a family of sorts, because I feel like I have not only good colleagues from whom I've learned lots, but I have close personal friends. And this is probably in fact, the number of friends I have here far outnumbers the number of friends I have anywhere else. So, that's one reason I keep coming back, So, Anyway, because of all that learning and development I felt like I've benefited from the University of Utah colleagues and from my UCEA colleagues, for the last 10 years or so, I felt like it's my responsibility to give back. So most of what I do now is a matter of giving back and trying to enhance the careers and the development of others. And I so appreciate the recognition from this group. Thank you.
Sorry. Our next award is the UCEA Master Professor Award, given to an individual faculty member whose record as a professor, as a teacher, is so distinguished that UCEA just must recognize them. I'm going to invite Mark Gooden, please, to speak to the recipient of this year's award.
That's fine. Thank you, Monica. I've known Dr. Michael Dantley since becoming a professor in 2001. Of course, before that, I knew his work and had cited one of his articles in my own work as a graduate student. If you can say I had some work as a graduate student at that time. I remember being so impressed with the level of excellence that Michael Dantley presented in everything that he did. However, I had no idea at the time the incredible impression he would have on my career over the next 15 years. Michael presented everything really in this way where he sought to be excellent in everything he did, or more appropriately, in his word, phenomenal. In fact, I think Michael's middle name is Phenomenal. I don't have any proof of that, but I think it is. So for example, he writes phenomenal external review letters, right? So if you have not had the pleasure of getting one of Michael Dantley's review letters when you go up for tenure, I wish you, I hope that you will get that opportunity. I mean, it's worth framing. I got one, and I can show it to you. I keep it on my phone. But he takes his time and really reads your scholarship and speaks to who you are as an individual in the work that you do. I had enough articles for tenure, but I believe if I had like 2 or 3 articles, I think I could have gotten tenure on that letter, right? But he also gives phenomenal feedback at conventions. I remember one of my students coming back saying, I had this person who I think who was at my session, and he just gave me such great feedback. It was just amazing. I just wanted him to keep talking. He should have just presented. And I say, that was Dr. Michael Dantley. He said, yeah. And he said, he brings this it's not little, it's a big yellow notepad. I think he still uses that. He writes all of his handwritten notes. He can read his notes, which is also amazing. And just gives fantastic feedback. But beyond that, he also developed a phenomenal record of scholarship over the years. He also gives phenomenal advice and encouragement. Dr. Dantley has proven to be someone to emulate for so many reasons. For starters, he is an incredibly knowledgeable and available mentor to many, a fine scholar, an outstanding leader, an amazing mediator, a seemingly available, always available friend, a fine family man, and a shining example of what the Academy should aspire to be when it grows up. Why? Because Michael Dantley first demonstrates compassion to all of the people he interacts with, no matter what station of life you're from. Though I could take 5 times the amount of time and continue to talk about all the things that are really great about Michael Dantley and why he deserves this award, I want to be fair to those folks who have written letters to really explain what he has meant in their lives. First, I'll just kind of go through some themes that were in the letters that also align with the award. As I noted, he is a significant scholar. He has a significant body of work. Secondly, he has been an outstanding advisor and a mentor to the students and assistant professors over the years. Thirdly, Dr. Dantley has been a leader at universities and a leader in professional educational organizations such as UCEA. He was the first African-American president, the Division A vice president. I think he's currently in that role, and I think he will say, I don't know how I got into this role as Division A vice president, but he's done a fantastic job, just the same. And so here's some of the things that people have said about Michael Dantley. In reference to his leadership, one recommender said, Michael is an individual who leads from the front, not from behind. He is very much a facilitator who engages in shared leadership. He is humble as he is knowledgeable, and working under his leadership was a rewarding experience. In addition, he has a sterling reputation for mentoring early career faculty, particularly faculty of color. Dr. Dantley takes a strong personal and professional interest in the success of each of his mentees. He is a wealth of information to those who seek his advisement. A junior scholar stated, Dr. Dantley seemed more interested in learning about me than I would expect of somebody of his stature. I look forward to connecting with Dr. Dantley at conventions because I knew every time I saw him, I would be revitalized, refueled, and encouraged to go back to my institution and face the many challenges that come along with being in the academy as a Black woman with an agenda to change the face of education for the most vulnerable students, families, and communities. Here's another one. Not only did the presence of Michael Dantley as the first Black UCEA president encourage doctoral students to join the higher education ranks of assistant professors, he actively monitors several young scholars of color to this end. One senior scholar noted, he has been able to contribute in significant ways to the lives of students, countless students at his institutions, countless students at other institutions, and his professional colleagues at the university, his community, and the larger professional field. In doing so, he has consistently maintained his focus on building a diverse and transformative professional community that enriches our collective sense of social justice and equity and spiritual leadership. So I'll run on and close with just a couple of stories, but there's one more quote. One is about Michael Dantley's his impact as a scholar. A senior scholar notes, when I think about Michael Dantley, a word comes to mind, impact. I must begin by discussing the impact of Michael's scholarship at the intersection of spirituality, justice, and leadership. As Michael's vita indicates, 70-plus publications in these areas that make up his pioneering work, which people continue to cite and cite often. So I'll just end with just a couple of stories. One is when Michael Dantley was program chair, and I was a part of that committee, there was a scholar who had been led by Michelle Young to speak to Michael because he had an idea that he wanted to present. And as I said, I was on the program committee, so I was there, and he continued to, he started to pitch his idea, and I think he was surprised, and because Michael said, oh, that's a great idea. Why don't you just sit down right here with the planning committee? And so he was a little bit shocked, and so he sat there and planned with us, and this scholar noted that Michael Dantley could have just given me the curt response of, you know what, send me an email and I'll discuss it. But instead, he included me to be there, and the words he used was, he included me to be a part of that inclusive community, which again is so Michael. And then the second story is presented by Malu Gonzalez, who couldn't be here because of health issues, but she sends her love. And one of the things she said is she was interviewing a scholar as an associate dean, and the person had been a student at Miami University as a doctoral student, and they asked him, tell us who has been your most impactful professor. And the person went on to say he had this professor who was very caring, who pushed us, who had high expectations, but at the same time also cared for us. This person was active in the community and did really wonderful things outside in the community, but never left us to feel as if he wasn't always paying attention to us. So that scholar went on to say, to get tenure, didn't get that job, then went on to get a job at another institution and got tenure. And what that scholar said in the end was, I really want to be like Michael Dantley. So isn't it a wonderful thing to think about a powerful African-American man as a scholar, so you can say, nothing against Michael Jordan, but this is the Mike I like to be like. So I want to be like Michael Dantley when I grow up. So Dr. Bishop Michael Dantley, would you please join me at the stage? There he is.
get to do this pretty regularly, standing at a podium and using a microphone and talking. And so I'm generally not nervous, but I'm overwhelmed today. I'm overwhelmed because my colleagues have thought enough of my work to give me this award. I'm honored because UCEA has been such a major player in my career, in my world. And I'm honored because I'm getting to do things that I absolutely love. I love to teach. I love to be with students and faculty. I love when people say I'm reading your work. My children were going to come today, and I told them, I said, listen, one of my children is in San Francisco, and he was going to try to come. My daughter is in Cincinnati, and our youngest, who's trying to become a star, is also in Cincinnati, but he wants to go to Los Angeles. That's a whole other story. I'm trying to mentor him, knowing nothing about being a star myself, or a music star. I have no idea what that means. And my wife was going to be here, and I told them, I said, you know, it's 5 minutes, and I'll bring the award home. But I got to tell you, the mere fact that my family wanted to participate in this honor means so much to me. When I look out, we were in the hallway, and a number of us were standing in this circle, and it was like a reunion. Just being able to work with people, see people, hug people that you know that have been a part of your life for so many years. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I could, but it's just great to know that you've had some impact. You wonder, after so many years, someone asked me, how long have you been at Miami? And I said, forever. I went away and learned that was a mistake, and then I came back to Miami. I've been at Miami. I got my master's at Miami, and I've been at Miami since a long time. And it has been a phenomenal place for me. So two things, and I'll sit down. One, thank you so much for this honor. Thank you so much for letting me know that my life matters. In a time like this, we have to be able to affirm one another, to allow one another to know that the work we are doing really matters, and that we are impacting lives in a phenomenal, way. More now than ever, our work is important. More now than ever, we've got to let our voices be heard. We've got to let our scholarship be written with a poignancy, and we've got to let our teaching be done with a real purpose. We've got to. This is important during this season. And so, thank you so much for this. I am also honored, I'm so honored, that one of the members of the Board of Trustees from Miami University heard about this award, and Mark Ridenauer is here to help me receive this award. Mark, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. So, Mark, thank you. Mark, thank you so much for the nomination, and thank everybody. Thank you for every role you have played in my life and how you have received somebody whose scholarship was a little off-center, but nonetheless, I pray that what I've done has impacted my life and your life and all of our students' lives. Thank you so much for this award.
Our next award is the Scribner Mentoring Award. The J.D. Scribner Mentoring Award honors an educational leadership faculty who has made a substantive contribution to the field by mentoring the next generation of students into roles as university research professors, while also recognizing the important roles mentors play in supporting and advising junior faculty. I'd like to invite Mariela up. Oh, there she is. Our new president-elect, to present this award.
Thank you all. I am honored to present this award to a dear friend.
I also send regards, give you regards from past President Frank Cochin, who was the primary nominator for Carol Mullen for this award, who would not be able to join us today, but sends her regards to all of you and all of her friends in the room. The Scribner Mentoring Award. When we think of a mentor, I have looked something up and I said, well, what is the history of mentorship? Where does this come from? And I came upon how mentor guided Telemachus, and how as a mentor served as a guide, served as a teacher, and served as a leader. And to consider the word mentor, it is definitely a word that should not be taken lightly. And in this particular case, it is not taken lightly at all. Let me tell you a little bit about our award winner. Carol Mullen is an extremely prolific scholar, and those of you who know her or who have worked with her understand exactly what I mean. To date, not only is her work focusing on mentoring and mentoring leadership, but she involved her master's and doctoral students, including students from underrepresented groups, junior faculty, and others in the academy at large. She's authored more than 200 refereed journal articles and book chapters, 15 special issues in journals, and 20 scholarly books, though perhaps in the last 48 hours that may have gone up to 25, I'm not too sure, Carol, but knowing Carol Mullen. So when we consider then this trajectory in which her research focuses on the value and the importance of mentorship, Carol then is highly committed to her doctoral students. She builds programs at the different institutions in which she's served. She creates opportunities for her students and shares resources in nurturing ways. She prepares her students to write for publication, has co-authored with them on several occasions, and has included them in her conference presentations. With her work in UCEA, she has served as the Boyd National Educational Policy Workshop mentor and currently serves as the plenum session representative for Virginia Tech. Many have recognized Carol's dedication to and mentoring of those doctoral students that I've talked about. She's been awarded at the university level the Women's Leadership Award and President's Award for Faculty Excellence, and at the state level, the Excellence in Teaching and Research from the Florida Association of Supervision and Curriculum Development, and at the university level, the Outstanding Professor Teaching Award for Academic Excellence. So I hope you're seeing the pattern here, that not only is Carol a prolific scholar, not only then is she an excellent teacher, but all of these then come together with her work as a mentor for others, including myself. Her mentoring programs, mentoring relationships, and her research on mentoring have been shared in the field. And in this way, not only does she share her research, but she shares the way in which she mentors others. Recently, Carol received the U.S. Fulbright Award, receiving a national recognition for her research program titled Interventions for Learning in China that Shape Education Policy and Civic Society, and is currently working on book number 21 in that effort. But in addition to this work, she takes her role as mentor so seriously that not only does she encourage this research in the field, but she also served for 7 years as the editor of Mentoring and Tutoring, Partnership and Learning through Routledge Press. She actively nurtured junior and senior faculty from around the world by providing them with professional development opportunities and coaching them in crafting quality methodology and other treatments. Recently, at the AERA Division A meeting, Carol was awarded the Education Administration Quarterly's 2015 Editorial Board Service Award. The detailed, mentoring-oriented reviews that she writes and the perseverance she demonstrates in sticking with prospective authors to the finish line is admirable, was something that was said. And I can attest to that. I had the pleasure of meeting Carol a few years ago. I had heard of Carol Mullen, of course, but I had never met her until I began work with NCPA. At the time, Carol was becoming president of NCPA, and I was joining as an ex officio member on the board regarding membership. And immediately, she embraced me and said, "How can I help? Welcome to NCPA. What can I do?" And I found that to be very inspiring and very supportive, and hence where the mentoring relationship began. So, a personal story. Although the professional accolades have been shared, and we trust, but let's get personal. So, a particular NCPA meeting, the other ex officio member and I with membership had been tasked to give a presentation about minority serving institutions and the educational leadership programs at both the master's and doctoral level in these. And we'd taken time, we were so excited to present it, and we presented it to the board, it went really well, and we're supposed to have a scheduled session later in the day. Well, you know how conferences go, and at some point that session did not exist. So it was brought to Carol's attention, and immediately she said, "Well, you can have my session." And so we were able to present our work. So seeing that selfless act of saying, "Take my session, take my time to present this good work," I'll never forget that. So Carol then, for me, serves as a role model, and I value her strong work ethic, her dedication to empowering others, and her invaluable advice as a professional colleague. I tell everyone, if Carol is on the project with you, it's going to get done. And I appreciate the way that Carol has pushed me to be my best scholarly self. Thank you, Carol. So, being the recipient then of the Scribner Mentoring Award, aptly named, of course, for J. Scribner, Carol has demonstrated her unwavering commitment to mentoring colleagues, helping to empower others, and helping us be the best that we can be. I am proud to call her friend. Please help me congratulate Dr. Carol Mullen.
Goodness, I can see why all the recipients are so moved. So I want to thank Mariela Rodriguez, UCEA President-elect, for your very kind words, Mariela, and steadfast support of UCEA. You're a wonderful friend and collaborator. To all award recipients, I want to congratulate you on your exemplary work and recognition by UCEA. When I got the news about the 2016 J.D. Scribner Mentoring Award, I felt overwhelmed, overjoyed, and then humbled. Before us are many great mentors in this room. And those of you who are not with us here today, we remember you, and we always appreciate you as well, including the previous J. Scribner awardees. I especially want to thank Fran Koshin, past president of UCEA, for nominating me for this award. Sadly, she was unable to be here today. She herself has received this mentoring award, leaving a legacy of mentoring and big shoes to fill. And then there's J.D. Scribner himself, the first recipient of this award, named after him a decade ago. For 40 years, Jay mentored students and faculty, having a huge impact. I remember his warmth and conviviality as well when visiting a university where I worked years ago. His sage advice helped with our visioning process as faculty. A newly tenured junior faculty member in educational leadership, I remember listening intently to his ideas, hanging off every word, which shaped our mentoring efforts with students.
My own interest in mentorship was more deeply inspired, out of which grew innovative programs for nurturing doctoral students and early career faculty. My sincere thanks to each and every professor and student graduate in my life who took the time to write nominating letters for this Scribner Award submission. Seeing some of you celebrating with us today, I can't help but think that you are yourselves model mentors who truly walk the talk. I also want to thank UCEA and the Review Committee of Peers for recognizing my career-long devotion to mentoring. To me, mentoring is a creative, dynamic, and changing act. Mentors and mentees organically create their relationship and hopefully have a profoundly positive impact that's in line with ideas of social justice. I believe that fostering culture-changing relationships is life-affirming, and that this dynamic lies at the core of mentoring's ethical sensibilities. UCEA recognizes the importance of mentoring scholarship and practice, demonstrating this commitment year after year, such as with the Scribner Award, to honor the work of mentorship's vital role in leading and learning means so much to those of us serving in higher education. I appreciate the leadership role UCEA has taken in making the mentoring of different groups an important conversation and organizational priority, which plays a role in the strength evidenced by the leadership programs that join UCEA's impressively growing cohort of institutional members. By supporting culture-changing, life-affirming mentoring programs and processes, and by collaborating with other organizations, such as ARA with the Boyd Workshop, to help realize its impact, UCA lies at the forefront of real change. This is great to be experiencing firsthand. And a final word, let's do all we can to ensure that our home institutions both champion and recognize UCA for leading the way in creating opportunities for the high-quality, impactful mentoring of students, faculty, and practitioners. Thank you.
The next award that we're going to present is the Jack A. Culbertson Award. It was established in 1982 to honor UCEA's first full-time executive director. And this award is presented annually to an outstanding junior professor of educational administration in recognition of the significant contributions to the field in educational leadership. Presenting this year's award is Meredith Honig.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to present the Jack Culbertson Award this year to Dr. Ann Ishimaru, who is so humble that she must have thanked me 10,000 times for nominating her for this award, often like this. But I told her every time, every single one of those 10,000 times, that this is one of the easiest things I've done, nominating her for this award. Because Ann's work truly exemplifies what this award is all about. And for those of you who are at that stage in the luncheon where you've got your phones out, you know you do, you're looking at your phones, just do it then, but Google Ann Ishimaru, I-S-H-I-M-A-R-U, Google her, because she has done such important work already at this stage of her career. Right, Deanna Pounder, take out your phone's right there. I can see you. Anyway, when you Google her, you'll find her scholarship in a couple of areas. One of them is educational leadership for equity. And part of what's so important about this work is that she moves beyond the general calls for leaders to lead for equity and really tries to describe what equity-focused leaders do that matters for results for kids, and how what they do has to disrupt the persistent disparities in student learning and success. Her scholarship also teaches how leaders learn to lead for equity. So we can move beyond just calling for equity-focused leaders ourselves as teachers of leaders and learn more about how to approach that challenge of teaching. So while you're looking at your phones, look especially for the 2013 article in Ed Administration Quarterly. I know you're making eye contact now, but just do it. Because in that Ed Administration Quarterly piece, she shows how school principals who engaged in particular community organizing practices developed and sustained the leadership of students, teachers, and parents in schools in ways so important to educational equity. On your phones, you're also going to find her scholarship on family and community engagement. And this is a field I worked in for a number of years and actually stopped working in part because I felt like the scholarship in this area really wasn't moving. Many of the findings in this line of work showed the myriad reasons why engagement doesn't happen. I mean, in most power struggles, the powerful win. Anne is a major intellectual leader in the next generation of this research, collaborating with learning scientists to show how community members, especially members of low-income families, can lead for equity in consequential ways, and that leaders must engage all these stakeholders as co-designers in improvement efforts and attend specifically to the redistribution of power. Anne also exemplifies scholar activism. She translates her research into tools we can use. Many of you probably just found the LEAD tool she co-developed, which helps organizations assess their capacity for leading for equity and figuring out ways to move forward. She was a main organizer of the effort to include more of an equity focus in the ISLIC refresh process, which you know a junior faculty doing something like that takes a lot of courage. She currently leads an expansive effort with 40 scholars, community leaders, and practitioners to develop a framework for advancing scholarship on the research and practice of social justice and education. When I work with her in our EDD program, I'm so struck by the energy and the urgency she brings to the work we do to prepare the next generation of systems-focused educational leaders, often emailing me at 11, 12 o'clock at night to look at her slides one more time for a little bit more feedback. And she'll say that's because she has 3 kids at home and she's just finished the dinner dishes. And I mention that mainly because so many of us as young women in the room are really trying to figure out how do we juggle all this work and everything at home. And Anne is a terrific role model for us in that regard as well. So it's my pleasure to present and for some of you introduce you to Anne Ishimaru.
Thank you so much. Thank you to UCEA and the terrific leadership team here. I want to thank Meredith Honig, the 10,001st time, I guess, for the nomination. Also to the incredible colleagues and students who supported my nomination and who selected my work to be recognized in this way. I'm really humbled by this award and by the list of folks who have preceded me, as well as the folks who've been up on this stage. I was telling Gary, sitting at the table, it's like a pantheon for me, the pantheon of all the folks whose scholarship has so inspired my own. And as Meredith mentioned, there's parts of this is a little excruciating for me, that kind of this recognition. But I really appreciate this honor, not just for my own work, but also for the recognition of a kind of collective effort that I've been privileged to be a part of. And I think it's a collective effort around and an openness around expanding the field of educational leadership. And Dr. Dantley spoke earlier briefly about the idea of his scholarship being slightly off-center. And he was one of the folks whose foundational work has really helped to propel my own and so many others in really centering issues of equity in how we prepare and enact leadership practice in education. The other kind of push or expansion, as Meredith mentioned, is this idea of moving beyond only folks who have the professional titles and the formal authority in schools to recognize non-dominant parents, families, and communities as fellow educational leaders. I know that Monica wanted to encourage us to embrace this afternoon as a moment of joy, but I, like many of you, I imagine, have been struggling in the last week or so, and to find a way forward for myself and my students and my children. And especially I've been struggling with a fear of kind of apprehension about the future. And I started to think about my own parents and my grandparents in this last week. As Japanese Americans, my grandparents and their parents and families were all interned along with 120,000 other Japanese Americans during World War II. And my father was born in one of the internment camps. And so the recent events, I don't need to explain why, recent events have kind of triggered a kind of generational trauma in my family and community. And I started to think about, I've never quite really understood how it was that they were able to just pack up their things and get ready to go somewhere. They had no idea where they were going or how long they would be gone or what their future would hold. And being really struck by the fact that they did, that they kept moving. They built community in these incarceration camps. They built new lives after they got out, even though they faced intense racism and hatred. And they launched and succeeded in a redress movement to try to ensure that this kind of thing wouldn't happen to any other community again. So I've been thinking about this phrase that I've heard a lot growing up, but I never gave it a lot of thought until recently. This phrase of kodomo no tame ni means for the sake of the children. And I've come to understand really how my family and my parents and grandparents have taught me to draw from the strength and the wisdom of our elders, and then to keep working to create a better world for our next generations. So I'd also like to express my deep gratitude to my parents and grandparents for teaching and inspiring me. And I was just reading an article this morning by Cornel West deploring the situation today, but he ends with this idea of like, this is not a time for abstract hope. We have to be the hope in this moment, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. And so I want to express my gratitude to my family, and then to all of you and the scholars who join in these efforts to keep pressing for an equitable education in the future for the sake of our children. Kodomo no tame ni. Thank you so much.
So while we're transitioning, so many times people ask me, so what's it like working at the University of Washington? You've kind of met a few of my colleagues just now. It's fabulous. The next award that we're going to be presenting is, I think it's well placed because it comes in right after the Culbertson Award, which is about someone who has really put their mark in for scholarship and the amount of time and attention it takes to do great scholarship. And so this JRLE Best Article Award is presented each year for outstanding scholarship, and the Best Article Award will be presented by Sharon Cruz.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Chad Lottmiller for chairing the committee that chose this award for this really excellent piece of work. The award recommended the work of Michael Steele, Kate Johnson, Samuel Otten, Beth Herbel-Eisenman, and Cynthia Carter. And it's in your program, but I'm going to read the title. Improving Educational Leadership Through the Development of Leadership Content Knowledge, a Case of Principal Learning in Algebra. As a former math teacher, I love this. As a former supervisor of folks who teach math, I was particularly moved by many of the findings and the privilege that this article gave to the importance of leading in content fields. The authors presented a compelling, richly detailed study describing the impact of a professional development intervention that sought to develop principals' leadership content knowledge in algebra. Informed by Stein and Nelson's conception of leadership content knowledge, the authors found that leaders who participated in professional development increased their understanding of algebra instruction and were better positioned to provide feedback, guidance, and support to classroom teachers. This article did the best job of linking theory and practice, content knowledge, and leadership education. It is richly deserving of this award. One of their primary findings was that in their research was that more than half the principals noted changes in their teacher evaluation practices, linking again this really strong idea that content matters when giving people feedback about how they teach that work. They also noted changes in the fluency and confidence in talking with math teachers about their practice. The analysis demonstrated that the post-holding design approach can produce meaningful shifts in how principals make sense of mathematics teaching and learning, which sets the change and stage for meaningful instruction and leadership practice. The author's work highlights that leadership content knowledge continues to be an important but largely unexamined, and I'd also suggest under-examined, aspect of our current understanding of instructional leadership. Indeed, we do not know the effect that leadership content knowledge has on leadership practice. And for those of you that are looking for a future contribution to the journal, that linkage can be greatly unpacked in many, many different ways. The article provided important insights into thinking about the ways in which leaders' practice evaluation and leaders' content knowledge matters in their work. Given the persistent achievement inequities associated with mathematics, the committee felt that this article presented a compelling next step for the field of educational research and practice by highlighting the ways in which principal work matters, and it matters for the student learning in our buildings and districts. So thank you very much. Cynthia and Beth, are you here? Come on.
Thank you very much. This is such an honor. I know we share this work of working so hard, taking a project, being inspired by the work we do, and then wondering if anyone will read it. And so it's humbling to be in this position. This project was a really exciting start. We started talking about it, myself as a leadership educator and my 4 math ed colleagues, Beth being the one that is here with us today. And we started talking about Mary Kay Stein's idea about leadership content knowledge and how we could connect their work as math educators and bring it to the development of principals' understandings so that those mathematics educators, as they went into their schools to do their awesome work, they would be supported by the principals that worked with them. Well, we were fortunate to be funded from the Michigan Department of Education through a teacher quality grant. We easily found principals and teachers that were interested in participating with us in this work. We got started, and then we started running into some roadblocks. The first one was some department leadership that said, wait a minute, is this work really important? Is it significant? And is it a good use of your time as not yet tenured faculty? We persisted. We believed in this work. We knew it was important to be working in the field and continuing to bridge the worlds of teacher preparation and leadership preparation. Then we ran into some challenges as we developed and put this manuscript together and submitted it. It was rejected 3 times before we got to this point. but we persisted because we believed in this work. And I know many of you understand what that's like, and we could have easily shelved it and gone on with other work, but we really, really wanted to develop this work, and each time we had a significant revision, and I think what we discovered is that it takes sometimes a lot of work to figure out how to craft that argument in a way that resonates with the readers. And given this award, I think we got it right this time. So I thank you very much on behalf of our research team. Beth, would you like to say anything? All right, thank you. I do want to also do a shout out. I've got my department chair and dean that are here, which is terrific to be supported in this work. And I thank you all. I think we've learned that persistence in our work matters, and especially with the hard work we have coming up in the next few years.
And the other point that I think I've learned a ton about leadership from Cindy, and she's learned maybe a little algebra from me. And we tend to silo in our universities, and I think this really stresses the importance of cross-expertise collaborations for doing good work in schools.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
For this next award, it's our Exemplary Educational Leadership Preparation Program Award. And this award is given by UCEA to a program that's a college or a university in education that really demonstrates that they have done an outstanding job of preparing leaders. We know that leadership matters. We also know that leadership preparation matters. And that's what this award is really designed to do, is to recognize an organization that has exemplary practices in place, and one that many of us can learn from. Presenting the award today is Shelby Cosner.
Hello, my name is Shelby Cosner. I'm from the University of Illinois at Chicago, and I had the pleasure of chairing the committee that reviewed the Exemplary Educational Leadership Preparation Program Award. Before I announce the award recipient and talk about that program, I would like to recognize the other members of this year's review committee for their service on the committee. These individuals are Janie Lindell from Clemson, and Mariela Rodriguez from the University of Texas at San Antonio. So, as a bit of background, UCEA introduced the Exemplary Educational Leadership Preparation Program Award 4 years ago to celebrate exemplary preparation programs and to encourage their development. Programs that are recognized must do two things: reflect current research on the features, content, and experiences associated with effective leadership preparation, and have demonstrated evidence of program effectiveness. To do that, reviewers are looking at 10 criteria, and a program that's selected must hit at high levels on nearly all of the 10 program features. This year, 7 preparation programs submitted applications for the competition, and this year's Exemplary Education Leadership Preparation Program Award goes to the University of Washington and their Leadership for Learning program, which they call L4L. Before inviting Dr. Meredith Honig of Washington's L4L program to join me on the stage to receive the award, I'd like to briefly share some information so that you can become a little bit more acquainted with their program. L4L is an educational doctorate, EDD program, for students who are seeking superintendent certification. The University of Washington's candidates are practicing system-focused educational leaders with demonstrated commitment to equity and excellence. Students in the program typically include district chief academic or operations officers and directors, but also school principals and other educators who aim to leverage broader systemic change from those roles. Their emphasis on system-focused leadership, regardless of positionality, reflects their research-based approach that to realize ambitious results for all students, everyone must lead in coordinated and powerful ways. A little bit of background about their cohorts and the number of individuals that have graduated. Each cohort typically includes about 30 candidates. They have had 5 completed cohorts. They've graduated 123 candidates, 17 of whom have held superintendencies. Now keep in mind, this was at the time they submitted the application. An additional 11 are currently serving as assistant superintendents, and 35 as district directors or executive leaders. So I want to talk just briefly about their application and what the reviewers noted in their application materials. The University of Washington submitted an exceptionally strong application. That's the very first thing that everybody should know. But in addition to the really high ratings across most of the criteria areas, the review committee was really impressed with work in one particular area, and I really want to highlight that work to give everybody a sense of some of the just really impressive work that's happening as a team. The program has really evidenced a strong commitment to ongoing organizational learning and continuous improvement. Their application revealed over and over again how they were using data to think very carefully about problems within the program, to be able to name problems in their program, and then to be able to put propositions forward about how to address those problems. And I'll give you an example. Their application revealed through the process of collecting course and end of program evaluations, that candidates were experiencing the curriculum as lacking coherence and in places being in conflict. This led the team to wonder, what if we stopped trying to coordinate across 15 modules and instead aligned a targeted set of standards to fewer, more comprehensive strands of curriculum? Now, I want to pause and just say that oftentimes when we think about redesigning or strengthening programs, we're often thinking about adding pieces. So for example, let's add a clinical component. And one of the things that's so impressive is the continuous emphasis on rethinking the program and doing so in ways that we're really taking big leaps forward and not tinkering around the edges. I'll give you one additional example that I think is really important. In addition to using data broadly to think about the program and various elements of the program, they use data continuously to think about teaching, content, instruction. So for example, students provide feedback each month on course content and instruction. Not only do faculty carefully consider the feedback, but what was really impressive, they together make sense of the feedback, they identify how they're going to respond, and then in writing, they write back to the students about their interpretations of what they saw in that feedback and how they're envisioning responding. Now, I want to stop and say, we talked about that as really demonstrating an element of the program that was important, that notion of continuous improvement. But I think there were several other things that get noticed in that sort of a practice. Because I want to share with you, in their application, there's actually a letter from Meredith to students. And these are the kinds of letters that are going out literally every month as a follow-up to courses that's unpacking how the faculty interpreted that feedback and how the faculty is going to respond. Now, number one, what a model of using inquiry for continuous improvement. If that's what we're wanting our leaders to do, you have a program that's leading by example and demonstrating that, which was just amazing. But even more so, that to me demonstrates a powerful duty of care to the students in that program. And sometimes in everything that we're doing, that notion of duty of care to those around us gets lost, and it was never lost in what you were seeing in terms of the submission materials from the University of Washington. So lastly, to accomplish this work, they really had to come together as a team. What you see over and over again in their application materials are collaborative, not individual work routines. And I think that's something really important to underscore, because so many times when we come together to celebrate work, it's because of somebody's individual accomplishment. And here in their papers, you see a group of faculty that have said we're willing to link arms together in service of our students and their students. So a commitment towards continuous improvement is a true hallmark of an exemplary preparation program, and the University of Washington exemplifies such a commitment. I'd like to invite Dr. Meredith Honig, University of Washington's L4L program, to join me on the stage to accept this award. And then please join me in congratulating the University of Washington's L4L program as this year's Exemplary Educational Leadership Preparation Award recipient.
It's me again. How many of you have now Googled the application for the UCEA Exemplary Leadership Award on your phones? Seriously, if you have not taken a look at the award process, I really encourage you to do that and to apply, because UCEA has done a really terrific job of creating an application process that prompts us as a team to really think about and articulate how we are continuously improving our work, especially when it comes to equity-focused leaders. That equity focus is arguably even more important today than just last week. And I'm from a part of New York City where we just say what it is. So, like what it is, like many of you, I'm dealing with being profoundly affected by the divisiveness and just plain hate we're seeing across the country. Skyrocketing levels of racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, xenophobia, and the hate directed at LGBT communities, Muslim communities, people with disabilities, and others. And in L4L, we actively search for ways to improve how we can help educational leaders not just talk equity, but to take the kinds of intentional systemic action that disrupt divisiveness, and to think, to rethink, and rebuild the systems that have kept too many students marginalized and excluded. I was asked to share with you a little about what we do in L4L and to acknowledge our team. And this week I thought that it's important to do both by sharing some of our approach to preparing active equity-focused leaders and invite you to push us, because now is not the time to stop pushing ourselves and our students to grow our equity-focused leadership. So here's just some of what we do to get the conversation started. One part of our approach is we aim to prepare our students not to lead the systems we have, but to create the systems we need to get to real results for each student. This emphasis means we deeply engage the latest research on systems that support equity, and also our best thinking and experience about how to move systems even further forward. Leading for the systems we need also means we help our students lead beyond their spans of control and beyond their comfort zones. Such systems leadership looks like a school principal in our program coming to understand that teachers' low expectations of students of color are not just her problem in her building, but a systemic one. And she led beyond her building for changes in the pipeline of teachers in her district and the quality of principal preparation while still a school principal, because one of the things we don't want to do is strip our buildings of our best people. Leading for the systems we need looks like one of our superintendent graduates rolling up her sleeves and shadowing students receiving English language services to better understand what schooling means for them and the implications for her central office. This kind of systems changing work is supported by the efforts of people like Professor Ann Ishimaru, who designed a main strand of our program to help our candidates understand the multiple layers of systems in which discriminatory practices become embedded and become normalized. And thanks to Jessica Rigby, a main focus of that strand is on how to use policy and governance structures and resource allocation as levers of systemic change. Second, we emphasize leaders leading for equity not after the program, but right now. This meant, and hold on to your hair, this meant letting go of the dissertation, which we found did not prepare people to lead. It was very hard for us to make it an authentic work product, and it actually took our students too far out of their practice. So instead, we engage our candidates in rigorous action assignments that demand they take what they're learning, much of it challenging research-based ideas, and apply it now in real time, and demonstrate their leadership in standards-based portfolios each year. For example, I work with students on framing as a leadership act, And then I challenge my students to go out and try to fundamentally reframe a conversation in real time. One of our students described a conversation in which district leaders were talking about low-income students from a deficit frame. And the assignment really challenged them to reframe that conversation. And the student, as they should, focused on reframing the conversation from a point of strength. And she reflected on what she learned from the process, and that's the work of the program. Anne and I co-lead students in year-long projects for which they take a core aspect of their daily work and do it differently, deeper, and better right now, using a cycle of inquiry approach. Professors Mike Copeland and Brad Portine helped us think about how inquiry for leaders doesn't have to mean PhD-style research inquiry, but something else that is no less rigorous and is actually often far more demanding. And three, as you heard, we work very hard together, which you know, faculty coming together is not always a pretty thing. But we come together, and we figure out how to grow continuously better and how to take an equity-focused approach to all that we do. We meet twice a month to share our teaching and receive feedback. We are in and out of each other's teaching sessions, sometimes giving feedback in real time. We continuously renew what we're doing, often with rich data from session surveys, interviews, and focus groups with students, thanks in part to Professor Marge Plecky, who is always prompting us to work from data. And we've made the work in the program one of the main intellectual anchors of what tenure-line faculty do. We are not a program of adjuncts or part-time people or visiting people. This is the work of our tenure-line faculty in the College of Education at the University of Washington. As one of the fathers of the program, Mike Knapp, often said, of all the things he has done across his incredible career, I added incredible, he would never say that, his work with our L4L candidates was some of the most challenging and enriching work he has done. And at this point, Kathy Kimball, founder of L4L, who routinely modeled leadership as learning, she would ask you to turn to a neighbor, share what is and isn't resonating with you about what I've just shared, and then have you quiz us about what we could be doing and doing better. And in that spirit and in conclusion, I view one of the main benefits of this award as giving us at the University of Washington a chance to be in better conversation with UCEA and with more of you as we push each other to become continuously better, especially now. Thank you.
Would the rest of L4L's colleagues and graduates join over at the blue curtain for a photo?
We're about to wrap up, and so once we do that, we're also asking all the recipients to come to the front so we can have a group picture for our records. I think it's important to walk out of this room in appreciation of each other and each other's work, and clearly our recipients have demonstrated the best that our field has to offer, both in terms of spirit and scholarship, in terms of teaching, and in terms of their basic humanity and approaches to the work that they do. And so, we appreciate that. We take strength from all of your work. You inspire us, and you really push us to be better, to ask better questions, and to be better academics and better human beings in this world. So thank you all for that. I think Anne and I also hope that as much as we enjoy being silly, and we value the importance of taking moments like this to be silly and to just laugh and engage with each other with our hearts and not our heads, even though everyone here does both. I think, we really, really would like you to take our small community of joy that we've created for the past hour and a half and take it with you and share it and expand it. Remember to be kind to each other. Take all the inspirational thoughts and the humility that everyone brought to their award, when they received it, and just take it with you. make our convention a little kinder, a little more human. Take a breath, take a drink or two. Hopefully not by yourself, do it with other people. And, leave this convention with, one new friend, one new thought, one new reason to remember and smile on your way home. Thank you all so much for today. Enjoy your convention and go have some fun.